Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta. I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today. And if you want to call and ask questions, 323-870-3857. And got to preface this. I've got a cold, sore throat. I'm losing my voice here, so you're going to hear it crack and everything like that. So I got to try to keep it down a little bit and try to get through this. So I sound like a 13-year-old boy now. So there you go. All right, let's get it started. Beeb, the fight of the weekend. Efe Ajagba versus Joe Goodall. Efe Ajagba wins via fourth round TKO over Joe Goodall. You know, Ajagba looked pretty good here, man. He took his time, didn't get over anxious. He let Goodall come to him, which actually surprised me. I mean, he took advantage when he had him hurt in the fourth round and got him out of there. The thing that impressed me with Ajagba is he didn't rush to finish. In the third, he caught him with a big uppercut, man, and it rocked Goodall. It was a picture-perfect uppercut, really. But Ajagba took his time, broke him down, and then just waited to get the finish in the next round. And he saw he had him hurt. I tell you what, I have noticed improvement since the Frank Sanchez fight. Noticeable improvement. I think his footwork is slightly better. I think his punch placement is slightly better. And I think that his combinations, he's not looking for one punch and out. I think his patience has gotten a lot better. He's good. He's good. I like him. You know, I think he's a good fighter. But realistically, could he compete for a title against Tyson Fury? I don't know if the Tyson Fury that showed up against Ngannou. Who do you think wins, Francis Ngannou or Efe? Stop it. Just stop it. A pick'em.
You know, this is the funny thing about Ajagba, because you made some great points. You have to ask yourself, is he looking good because the opposition is nowhere near Frank Sanchez, which was the opponent where he looked kind of lost in there? But you can take away some of the points you just made. He was over anxious. He was loading up with shots early in his career, even against guys that were not as good as Frank Sanchez, right? So he's looking a lot more refined, right? He's patient. Like you said, he's setting up shots. And, you know, you could see that he's worked on his craft a bit, right? You can see that he's worked off his craft a bit. And he's not looking to load up, like you said, not winding up, telegraphing anymore. He's just firing the shots straight down the middle. So there still are going to be question marks. Like, okay, he's doing it against Goodall, but can he do it against a big baby Anderson? Because I think that's the fight to make next. That's a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's an easy fight to make next.
Sure it is.
I think that's an easy fight to make next. They're both in the same promotion. And I think that's a great fight for Big Baby Anderson. I think Big Baby Anderson smashes him. I really do. I think it's a one-sided fight. But Ajagba's getting better. Getting better. Where's Frank Sanchez and all this? And I know Frank Sanchez, I believe, just fought in September.
Yeah.
But he's not moving at all. I mean, like I don't think it's a problem with him. I think it's a problem with this promotion. I think and I also think it's a problem, people not wanting to fight this guy.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of risk, no real reward. He's not very well known, a household name,
Sure.
you know.
You know, we talk about inactivity, but you look at a lot of fighters, and PBC is notorious for inactivity because they have so many fighters, and the majority of their fighters, it's not like they're fighting once a year. Some people on their stable have been off for almost 2 years, 2 years
Danny
plus.
Garcia.
Yeah, 2 years plus. But even then, I looked at Usyk, and Usyk since 2019 has only fought once a year.
Yeah.
And he's fought 4 opponents. He fought Joshua twice. So in the last 5 years, he's fought 4 opponents. And because a lot of people criticize Tyson Fury for inactivity, and other fighters, of course. But even Usyk, he's a guy that hasn't really been that active, and you can kind of attribute that to maybe not really having he had a promoter like in K2, but K2 never really had that big, broadcaster like at DAZN. Now he's been on DAZN, and he's been on ESPN Plus and stuff, but for long stretches of his career, being promoted by K2 and Skills Challenge for a short, brief time, they never really had like a big contract with a broadcaster. Like Tyson Fury is on ESPN Plus, Joshua's on DAZN, so they never had that luxury. And now it seems like after those 2 Joshua fights that even though they're free agents, I think Saudi will get behind Usyk and put a lot of money behind him, and it won't be hard for Saudi to pay for rights fees, for ESPN and all these guys. So they'll be putting up the money, and they'll pay for the rights fees for whatever broadcasters they need. So I think now moving forward, Usyk will be in a better position. But it's just funny when we talk about inactivity and we look at a lot of the nuance behind it, and we try to explain and I'm not going to say justify, but we just try to explain in each instance, what a lot of these fighters have issues with, and the one biggest common denominator is PBC. And I know people, we should get on PBC. Well, what about this guy? What about that guy? But again, like I said, it's not more prevalent anywhere else than on PBC. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. And I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know that it's all their fault. I don't know that it's all PBC's fault, because you got to have money to put on these cards. You got to have fighters that are willing to fight. You got to have, and they've got a bunch of fighters that want, 6 million or whatever, just name your price. They want some crazy money to fight each other. Sure. And the fights just aren't worth it. And I think that's why everybody gets on me when I talk about the Dana White thing and how he pays his fighters. Listen, he pays them market value. He pays them what they're worth. And I get it, man. Big fights can drive. But again, you're talking about a handful of fighters that make this money.
Sure.
Your undercard fighters aren't making that.
No,
they're not coming close.
Not at all.
Not even a little bit, man. Were you surprised that Goodall was able to back him up like he did?
Ajagba? Ajagba?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was surprised. I when you have a guy like that with nothing to lose, right? He's gonna come right at you, right? So it may have caught Ajagba off guard momentarily, but I've seen it before. Like Peter McNeely, like he bum rushed Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson kind of was pushed back for a brief moment.
For about 30 seconds.
It's like when a guy's got nothing to lose and he just rushes you like that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little bit of surprise to that, and then once you get acclimated, once the Ajagba got acclimated to it, it wasn't really much of a problem. So,
shout out to Mario Munguia, who's in the chat. Thanks for coming out, brother. Let's see here. All right, let's talk about this. I think Big Baby Anderson is probably the next for him, though. I think we're both in agreement on that.
Makes sense.
That's a good fight, can happen, and I think it will happen early next year. Let's talk about the other one. Junior Makabu versus Noel Mikhailian for the WBC Cruiserweight title. Beeb, neither one of us saw this fight. This was on pay-per-view. King Vision, Don King pay-per-view. What in the world? How in the world was this a pay-per-view, my friend? Noel Mikhailian is the new WBC Cruiserweight champion after defeating Junior Makabu in the 3rd round, TKO. Makabu was down in the 2nd, but made it out of the round. He was floored again in the 3rd, beat the count, but the fight was stopped shortly thereafter. Noel Mikhailian, here's a stat for you, becomes the first German-born fighter in 90 years to win a title on American soil. Wow. Who was the last one?
Oh, the guy who beat Joe Louis.
Max Schmeling.
Max Schmeling, yeah.
Yeah, Max Schmeling. 90 years, man. 90 years. I thought that was a good stat, man. I thought that was something else, man. That was pretty cool. And it took place in Miami. I guess that's where King is located. He's been located there, I think, for years now. And at that Highlight Center or whatever, he has a lot of fights at that Highlight Center. You know, but I tell you, it's funny. Like, you think about it, like, the pay-per-views that he used to have versus the pay-per-views that he has now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about it. I mean, did anybody even know the pay-per-view is even going on?
No.
Right?
No.
So, yeah, there's a DAZN fight, Beeb. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Joe Cordina versus Vasquez. And this was a great fight. And you hear Eric and I give DAZN a lot of stick here, but they're starting to come on strong the second half of the year. And this
second
is
half
another
of December.
You're bad. But this is back-to-back weeks of really, really high quality boxing, really exciting fights. And this was a fight that I felt was razor close. Joe Cordina won this fight 116 and 112 twice, and 114 and 114. So he won a majority decision here. And a lot of people felt as though Vasquez won this fight, right? And you can make an argument either way. And people complaining about the 116, 112 scorecard, thinking that it was wide. But Vasquez, like Cordina said at the post-fight interview, is a very tricky guy. He's a very crafty guy. And he's an excellent inside fighter. But what's interesting is how he gets there, because he makes himself such a compact target. He's got very, very quick feet. And Joe Cordina had more success when he had range and he had space in between him and Vasquez. But that was the challenge, being able to, keep him at the end of his jab. Because when you're getting low like that, and then you're coming up and underneath a lot of these punches, particularly Cordina's jab, it's hard to pin this guy down and keep him from coming forward and getting inside on you, right? And when he did get inside, he was really shortening up shots, very fluid on the inside. And again, really, really astute at proper body positioning on the inside to create the punching angles for himself. And he was again, that short hook that he was able to land not only to the body, but he would bring it up to the head afterwards. And, a lot of these shots weren't landing perfect. But once again, when you are the guy who is throwing the punches, forcing your opponent to have to defend, he can't fire and his hands stay home. So even if these shots aren't landing picture perfect, which not all of them were, but there were some that did land picture perfect, then you get credit for those, And another thing too is what he did also when he was trying to get on the inside was when Cordina would throw that jab out there and miss him. Sometimes Cordina was pulling it back just a touch too slow, and he was able to shoot that right hand over the top of it. So he was landing some good right hands, counter right hands after slipping the jab. So that was another good thing he did. And this was like a lot of back and forth, ebb and flow. And they would, Vasquez would win around here, maybe two, and then Cordina would win around and maybe put two together. But no one really took control of this fight. And one frustrating thing that was aggravating me is, again, we always go back to this, the DAZN announcers, in particular Tony Bellew. He's a homer for the Eddie Hearn A-side promoted fighter, which
a friend of the show,
which Cordina was in this event. And he kept
friend
saying,
of the show. What's the matter with you?
He kept saying that, well, Cordina is trying too hard to be exciting and put on a show for the crowd. That's why he's fighting this way, which could not be further from the truth, because again, after the fight, he basically said, he told you, he revealed that this was a tricky style. Because again, when you got a short guy in front of you who's crouching down even lower to make himself an even more compact target, and he's got quick feet, you're not going to tell me that it was not hard to keep this guy at the end of his jab and keep him on the outside, which it most certainly was. And there were points where he was able to do it because Vasquez was exerting a lot of energy, and I'm sure there was times where he had to kind of reset and he had to get his second wind in spots in this fight. And there were when he was able to keep him on the outside, he was having more success, although he was doing some decent work on the inside. But clearly, it was to Vasquez's advantage, and he was got the better of the two when they were up close. And that's just the way it was. But to suggest that he welcomed this type of fight when it wasn't in his best advantage to do so, just so he could be exciting. Yeah, I'm just going to give away rounds and lose my title so I can impress Tony Bellew. Like, wow, look how exciting I'm being today. Get the fuck out of here. I can't stand the notion of guys just giving rounds away on purpose. I'm just never going to buy it. Oh, he's downloading the data, so I'll give away the first 4 rounds because I know for damn sure I'm going to win the next 8.
Right.
Again,
it doesn't work that way, guys. They're not thinking that either. They're not thinking about letting these rounds go either. They want to win the rounds.
No.
If you have a choice, Beeb, let me ask you a question. If you have a choice between not winning a round and winning a round, which one do you take? Stop it.
I'm going to win a round.
Right.
Now, again, do the fighters' adrenaline flow sometimes? There's a primal instinct to fighters where sometimes they do want to fight. But the guys at the top level know how to control that for the most part, and they're going to do whatever it takes to win a fight. So that just
downloading data.
all this stupid jargon that these announcers love to throw in there. Story of the fight, trying to please the crowd.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, all this stupid stuff. As D-Style said, like I was alluding to a couple minutes ago, just call what you're seeing. Stop trying to climb in these guys' heads and psychoanalyze them.
You don't need it. There's an action in the ring. You don't need a story. It's right there.
Just tell us what's going on, not what you think is going on, not what you think should happen. We don't need you to play a trainer's role. Well, he needs to do. No, we don't need to know what he needs to do. That's his trainer's job, not yours. You're there to call the action, and that's it. So that's the weekly Beeb rant right there.
Look, man, they got enough. Again, there's enough action in the ring. We don't need to make anything up. We don't need to read anything into it. Just two guys punching each other over there.
That's it. And this fight was
taking each other's hands off.
It's instead of just saying, well, Cordina is trying to keep him on the outside, but because you have a guy in Vasquez who's short and he's quick on his feet and he's really good at fighting out of that crouch and springing out of that crouch, and it's hard to kind of pin him down with the jab because of how small he is and how he's able to be compact when he's coming in. Instead of just breaking it down that way, don't tell us this highfalutin story that he wants to just make the fight exciting, and so he's just going to give away his reach willingly when he knows that he's at an advantage. No, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it.
No,
that would be like me coming on here saying, well, I'm just going to say stupid things that aren't true just so I could be hyperbolic and make everyone laugh and entertained.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like, you got to talk about the facts, and we talk about the facts, and it's like, what I tell you what, here, this is the greatest, is that I remember with Pernell Whitaker, and I remember with Floyd Mayweather, they all have like the same, when they start slowing down, they say, I want to give the fans what they want. I want to give them more action. So what, for your last 10 years of your career, you didn't want to give the fans what they wanted? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
It's just crazy, man. It's like when you ask a girl out, whatever, and she says, like, you try to make a move on a girl at a club or something, and you're with your boys, and she turns you down. You're like, I didn't really like her anyways, man. I just felt bad for her. She was standing there by herself. I really didn't want to. I really don't want to pick her up. I mean, I
Listen,
just, you know,
I try to be a nice guy. There's a reason she's standing over there by herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know.
trying to throw her a lifeline. You know what I'm saying? I got a whole bunch of honey dips over there. I could have, got a whole bunch of honey dips over there. I'm just trying to give this girl a lifeline.
Beeb said, I ain't gonna sweat these hoes. I'm gonna let these hoes. You know what I mean?
And that's stuff
Beeb's
Robbie.
motto.
That stuff Robbie used to do back in the day.
Oh my God. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
So you said for 2 weeks now, DAZN has been coming on. But
Not
let me
for
ask
2
you.
weeks. Like
Let me ask you this.
All right, go ahead. I know what you're gonna do, but go ahead.
You know where I'm going with this.
I know where you're going.
We could find USA fights. Remember back in the day, the Tuesday night fights?
Yes.
Oh, most of them were squash, mate. You know what I mean? And up-and-comers and stuff. But a lot of times they put some good stuff on there, you
They
know?
would mix in a good one every now and then. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But again, you see a fight that, hey, it's competitive, right?
Yeah.
But would you have watched this? I mean, did this attract you when you saw this fight? Were you like, oh yeah, we got to check this out. I'm going to pay for this.
I'm gonna say something controversial you're not gonna like.
Sure.
Because I am such a loser in life that I really these fights are like the highlight to my weekend. Right? I look forward to these fights. I'm probably an outlier. In all honesty, I'm an outlier. But the one bright spot in this all is, I will say this: the beautiful thing about DAZN, and when I go back 15 years, 12 years, I'm able to watch Joe Cordina on a regular basis now. I'm able to see a Sonny Edwards. You know, I'm able to see these guys that I would not have that would not be exposed to me 10 to 12 years later. So in that regard,
is it worth the price you're paying to see it?
If I'm being honest and objective from an economic standpoint, no.
There you go.
Because this is the problem, Eric. $225 a year plus pay-per-views, in my opinion, is price gouging.
That's
and
a lot.
what really sets me off in comparison to all these other countries like the UK and Canada and everywhere else, they're paying substantially less than I am. And it's almost like I said before in other shows, is America subsidizing the rest of these countries? And let me even add one more point in there. I'm not going to give this person's name out, but I know a friend of mine who has a Fire Stick, and he's watching DAZN through a Fire Stick through another VPN or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he had like the Australian
Right.
VPN. So
Right.
and he was telling me, look at all in comparison to the US, right? Look at all of the events that were being shown in Australia in comparison. So they're getting for those guys, they're getting NFL, NBA,
darts,
major league
cricket.
baseball. We're getting darts, snooker.
I know, right? Why are we getting that?
These I don't know, some type of kickboxing, some kickboxing event in Switzerland or something, like things that were again, no knock on kickbox, but these are things that most American sports fans and more importantly, boxing fans are not interested in. So,
it's odd, right? I mean, it's kind of odd that they kind of created DAZN and it's only a boxing channel. And I know they got other stuff on there. I get it. But like here, it's all, nobody's buying DAZN. I don't know if anybody that's buying DAZN if they don't like boxing.
In America, yeah.
In America.
Sure. Because we don't need, the only reason why you would need to purchase DAZN, get a membership for DAZN in America is if you were a boxing fan. There's no,
or a soccer.
No
don't they have
need.
soccer on there anymore? Or like the Italian league or something like that?
I'm not, I have to look a little bit more deeper in that, but I think they have some types of soccer in there, yeah. But they don't have the Premier League like in other countries. Some of the other countries that get Premier League and all this stuff.
Yeah, well, we got that on NBC. NBC has that, and then
sure.
But they got that like once a week. It's not like like one game, like the game of the week or something like that.
And I know we've been talking about where's PBC going to go, and we've heard that they're heard rumblings that they may be going to Amazon, but we don't know, right?
Well, let's talk about that for a minute before we get to the schedules here. So let's talk about Showtime's last broadcast here. The last broadcast will be December 16th. That'll be the final Showtime broadcast, the end of an era, man. They did the right thing by taking this off of pay-per-view. They were going to put this card on the 9th as a pay-per-view. It was a lousy card for a pay-per-view, but it's a good card for Showtime.
Sure.
Amata Stanionis, I always have trouble with this guy's name. Stanionis versus Keith Thurman. Arislandi Lara versus Danny Garcia. Chris Colbert and David Morrell Jr. also on the undercards. It's a much better card than, I tell you what, this is a much better card than what HBO ended on. You remember what HBO ended on?
Something that you don't like.
Chick fights, those two chick fights or whatever. And then they had, who was it? Well, they had one of our girls on there. Who was that? That one you tried to hit on when she was on our show and I was on Showtime for?
Christina Hammer?
Christina Hammer, yeah. Wasn't it? I think it was Christina Hammer.
No. It was,
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh, the other girl.
Breakhouse. It was Breakhouse.
Cecilia Breakhouse.
Yeah, that's right.
Tried to hit on her too. That's okay.
Yeah, well, hey.
I hit on all of them.
That's right. It is what it is, But that card was just lousy. I wouldn't even have put that card on. I don't even know why they did. It was such an antithesis of what HBO boxing was about, But they did what they did and whatever. This is a much better send-off card for Showtime. Much better send-off card.
Yeah.
So, which brings, listen, man, which brings me to my next point. What happens now? Showtime was the PBC. That's where you saw everybody.
That was the hub.
Showtime and Showtime pay-per-view. Fox had pay-per-view on for a couple of times. Didn't renew. Didn't work out. They've got football and college football. Boxing isn't on the radar. Where do they go, Beeb? I mean, realistically, where do you go?
They're saying that it's going to be Amazon. A lot of people are hoping it would be DAZN. But once again, my fear is if hypothetically to say if it was DAZN,
that price.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what am I going to be? What am I going to be paying now? Like $350 a year?
Yeah, right. I mean, realistically, what happens to PBC? I mean, I talked about this before the show. Do you think they just pack it in?
Well, now I'm hearing too, shout out to JC in the chat. I was reading an article that Netflix is going to start doing boxing too. They're going to be doing like Jake Paul's shows and stuff. So who knows? Because this digital world is ever expanding, right? And who would have thought that you'd be watching football on Amazon? Because you can watch football games on Amazon now.
YouTube, everything like that. They've got the Sunday Ticket or whatever. What if they put it on Brazzers, huh? Please. What if they did that?
Please.
You had like the Brazzers network where you can watch what you want to watch.
Robbie would never leave his bedroom.
You got like another channel, right? Where you can watch boxing on too. So like,
if they did that, Robbie would never leave his bedroom, man. we'd be Mrs. Harry could be texting me.
Stuck to his sheets,
Joe, what's wrong with Robert? He hasn't left the room in about 3 days. I'm sorry, Mrs. Herrick. I don't know.
DAZN, he said DAZN should buy the slapping sport.
Oh God.
I tell you what, man, I hate it. I don't like that sport at all.
I think that's the most.
But I can't turn away from it. I can't. Yeah. I gotta watch it every time it's on. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna hit him, And it's like a car.
It's like a car wreck.
I know he's coming like this, and they're like loading up. I'm like, where in the world are you gonna ever hit somebody like that?
And it's crazy because Dana White is always like the first guy to ever say something as a circus act, and we don't do these gimmick things here. And I don't know. This does fall in the realm somewhat. All due respect to these guys who are taking the shots, I'm not going to discredit them, but this kind of does fall into that line of gimmick to me. Like,
well, I don't know. I've never seen Dana White do anything gimmicky like CM Punk or James Toney or anything like that. No, never. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Never seen him do anything gimmicky at all. He's always the greatest because he's always the first one to call it out and never points the direction at his, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he never points the finger at himself.
Never looks in the mirror when he's talking about these
right. With boxing on Brazzers, do we get the same ring card girls? Hopefully not.
Please.
Hopefully we can get some of the Brazzers girls to do that. Easy. I'm telling you, I think this is an idea. Not you, huh? You like to keep your Brazzers separate from your.
Yeah, I don't want to get too confused here. Like, you want to keep this over here and this over there. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I don't like, I don't like the reporters on the sidelines, like the Fox reporters or something like that, when they're doing football games and they're all like, mini skirting and like low tops and everything. Oh, why don't you tell us about the half?
That's hilarious. That's funny.
So you think that PBC finds a way into?
I'm going to tell you what I believe, and this is just my opinion. I suspect there's already a deal in place, and
I would think there has to be, right?
Yeah, Al Heyman's smart enough, and he's proactive enough to know that he's got to get the ball rolling so he can get the schedule out for next year. And in order to do that, in order to get dates, in order to reserve venues and all that, he's got to have a deal in place. As soon as he knew that show, he probably was working on this maybe months ago. That's how smart this guy is. How cerebral
I think
this
you have
is.
to. The writing was on the wall. I mean, the writing was last
on the wall.
year. They knew last year this was ending.
Sure.
I mean, they did because they're privy to all that before we are.
Exactly. So there's probably already a deal in place. Where that is, I don't know, but I do suspect it may be Amazon.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone else along with Amazon. Who knows?
Did you know James Harden, is his wife really a porn star? Basketball player? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had no idea. Would you marry a porn star?
That is something that would not be allowed. That is haram here in the Beeb household.
What's that?
If you want to be a porn star, I won't be your husband, but I could be your manager and get a cut of what you're making. But other than that, we can work out what you're making. We can work out a side deal. Well, I have some fringe benefits as well to go along with that cut. But you could never, ever carry the Habib name. All right, ever.
Beeb's telling you straight.
That's the way.
He's telling you, ladies, straight, man. Beeb has a harem in his household.
You can be on the payroll, but it takes a special woman to carry the Habib name.
Habib name.
That's a heavy weight to carry. That's a heavy weight for a female to carry.
I agree.
About 6 right now, little penny, about 6. Because I'm 54. I used to be able to handle about 12, but 6 is the limit. We had to cut it down because we want to make sure that every woman gets enough attention. Quality attention, that is.
See, I wouldn't be so concerned about that. There's so many of them. What do I care? You know what I mean? All right. Next week, November 11th, Newcastle, England, on DAZN. You ready for this, right? Shabazz Massoud versus Jose San Martin, 10 rounds, junior featherweights. Mark Dickinson versus Grant Dennis, 10 rounds, middleweights. By the way, you guys pay for this. Seriously? That's on. Come on, man.
Crazy.
But DAZN later on that night redeems himself from Long Beach, California on DAZN. Main event, Irma Garcia versus Stephanie Silva. 10 rounds for the vacant IBF Women's Junior Bantamweight title. You serious?
Is that a Golden Boy show? I think that's a Golden Boy show.
I think that's a Copper Boy show. That's not, Fernando Vargas on the undercard there versus Wilfredo Buelvas. Let's see what else. Yeah, that's it. Santa Fe, Argentina. It's a chick fight, and there's no TV for it, thank God. And then the next big one is going to be November 16th, Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos for the vacant WBC lightweight title. And then Emmanuel Navarrete versus Robson Consecao, 12 rounds for Navarrete's junior lightweight title. Edwin De Los Santos is not who we wanted to see Shakur fight, but it's the only one it's the only guy that wanted to fight Shakur. That's another dangerous guy.
Yeah, I think Dos Santos is just as tough, if not arguably more tough than Frank Martin would have been.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the opponent. I think it's a solid fight.
Yeah, I like it. I
don't have a problem with the fight.
No. Tapalis and Inoue, is that fight is still on, but the other one, his brother is the one that got cut out of that other one because he got injured
hurt.
or whatever.
I think someone got hurt in that fight. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones here. Robert, let's hear from him. 530. You're
Hello,
live.
guys.
Hey, did you turn the clock back? Did you turn the clock back?
First of all, yeah, we certainly did.
Okay.
First of all, don't forget we have fights on Tuesday also, Eric, on DAZN. Jamel Herring is making a comeback.
Why?
Thanks, Robbie.
I don't see it. No, the reason I didn't call that out, I didn't see it on the schedule. So.
Oh, okay. It was on last week, and Herring was being interviewed like on Friday on a podcast I listened to. He said he's looking forward to the fight. So maybe DAZN took it off the schedule. I don't know.
No, it's still here. I'm looking at BoxRec 11-7 against Nicholas Molina.
Okay.
8 rounds.
Yeah. I know. And he said that's because the opponent didn't want to go 10. He wanted 10, but he settled for 8. And I don't know why he did that either. But yeah, no, that was supposed to be on DAZN, but it may not be now. But as far as Cordina and that fight yesterday, B, I don't know how you had it scored, but I thought Vasquez won the fight.
Yeah, a lot of people thought Vasquez won. I had it a draw, actually. It was, it was crazy, Robbie. You know what a lot of people were saying, particularly on Twitter? They were saying it could either be a draw. It could either be a draw or a Vasquez win. A lot of people did not think that Cordina won that fight. They think that if you give him every benefit of the doubt, the best you could come up with in his favor would be a draw to save his title. No one really thought that Cordina won. A lot of people did not think Cordina won. Yeah.
I scored at 115-113 for Vasquez.
Yeah. That's not a bad card. Not a bad card.
No. And it was a good fight.
Yeah, I had it as
well. And I already got rid of. And I would have been okay with that too. And I already got rid of my Showtime subscription. I'm not. I decided if you're going to get rid of boxing, I'm getting rid of you. So I got rid of Showtime.
Will you be able to see the fight in December?
Well, you said it was pay-per-view, Eric. I didn't realize they changed it.
No, they changed it. So you did it too early.
Yeah. So
why don't you just wait? Why don't you just wait till next year to cancel your Showtime subscription, Robbie? Now what are you going to do? Now you're going to start. Now you're going to call me up. You're going to call me up and ask me for the login to my account so you could watch it?
No.
Is that what you're going to do? Are you trying to be slick here? Is that what you want?
No.
You want a free ride?
No. By the way, Eric, I don't know if you got the same email I got, but DirecTV as of the 5th is raising prices. That's another reason why I cut it off.
BS.
So, yep. So
I'm this close. I'm this close to dropping DirecTV too.
Yeah, I had to get rid of it, Eric. I had it for like five years, and I went back to Comcast because it was getting too expensive.
Yeah.
Once you go through the trial period, you're not saving money anymore.
Yeah. No, Eric, I had to make some major cutbacks through them, and I told them, I said, any more price increases, I'm going elsewhere.
What did they do when you said that, Robbie? Oh, please, Mr. Herrick, don't do that.
Wanted to offer me
don't do that, Mr. Herrick. What do you want? You want a free month of the Playboy channel? No, we'll give that for you. We've been tracking a lot of your search history, and we think that would be a little great perk for you, Mr. Herrick.
Good God Almighty. But no, seriously, Eric, I had to make some major cutbacks through them. So when Showtime said they weren't doing boxing anymore, I got rid of them. So
you still have your Netflix? You still have your Netflix, Robbie?
Oh, I got Netflix. I got Amazon. So
Mrs. Herrick would never let you cancel Netflix. She would never let you cancel Netflix.
Oh no,
Netflix is just okay.
there's a lot of good stuff. I don't know, Eric. I found a lot of good stuff on there. So,
Yeah, I like Netflix.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm perfectly happy to dispose of Showtime, and if PBC goes to either Amazon or Netflix, I'm good because I got subscriptions to both. I'm a Prime member, so I took full advantage of Amazon Prime. So,
what do you think, Robert? What do you think happens to PBC?
Well, I'm like a lot of people, but Joe brings up a good point. I would love to see them on DAZN, but if they go to Amazon, I'm okay with that.
The only thing I'm concerned about is if they go to the only thing Eric and I mentioned that we'd be concerned about is if they go to the DAZN, are they going to jack up the price again? Because I'm getting sick of that.
Well, Eric, Joe, what I already told you what I'm going to do when my subscription comes up in May. I'm gonna drop paying for the year, and I'm gonna do it month to month.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that.
Look, I love DAZN, but the fact that they went from $99 for the year to $225 without a logical explanation, and then you have to seriously look at. We here in the U.S., we only buy it for boxing. Those of us that buy DAZN, we only buy it for boxing. Right. I don't know any other person that buys DAZN for anything else. And Eric, they do have soccer on it, but they have like the Saudi Pro League. They have
That's where Ronaldo's playing.
They have the women's league through the Premier League. They don't have the Premier League, but they got the women's league and stuff like that. So they do have soccer, but different types of soccer. It's not the Premier League,
right? But the Saudi league, is where what is that? I think Neymar is there, if I'm not mistaken. I thought Neymar was there, but Ronaldo's there too.
Cristiano Ronaldo, he's there. He's the big one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they tried to get Messi to go there, but Messi decided to go to MLS. So
and then bring the rest of the Barcelona team with him.
Yeah, well, they wanted him to do that, but so far that has not been a success.
What? What are you talking about? Have you even watched it? Bro, they're like the hottest team. They didn't make the playoffs, Eric, they were in last place before he got there.
Look who you're talking to. You're talking to a propaganda machine who never does. He's a propaganda machine who never does research, and he just likes to spout out misinformation. This guy is worse than CNN.
Did you say, do I have a cold?
Are you dealing with a cold?
Yeah. I've got a cold. I've got laryngitis. I've got a cold. I've got
Yes, he's got a cold, Doctor.
Okay.
I'm dying over here.
Well, your Bengals should do okay tonight, so that should make you feel better.
FC Cincinnati won big last night. Swept New York last night, baby. Good. Swept them. Bengals going to win tonight.
And by the way, if Jared Anderson fights Ajagba, I'm taking Big Baby Anderson to smash him.
Yeah.
I've never been impressed. I've never been impressed with Ajagba. I don't think he's ever going to be a success in the heavyweight division if he steps up levels. And I think Jared Anderson will take care of him with ease.
Hey, let me ask you something, Rob, because you watch other sports, right? Who's number one in college football right now? Do you know? I can't remember.
Well, it depends.
It doesn't depend. Now, it doesn't depend.
Here he goes now. Here he goes now with the spin. Here he goes with the filibuster and the spin. It depends. No, they have a ranking system. They have a ranking system, and the ranking system is existential. You just can't say it depends. Please.
If you go by the playoff rankings, it's the Ohio State University.
Well, clearly that's the only rankings we go by, right? The only rankings that matter, yes.
Right.
Right, there you go. All right, Ohio State, I forgot about that. They number one too.
Now that you press him, he can start stuttering.
No.
Little Penny said the Wolverines are number one at stealing signs.
And and don't forget on the 16th of December, Joe, the night that Showtime has their final card, That's the night of the Sonny Edwards Rodriguez fight.
Cares?
Yeah,
Who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
Watching that Showtime.
That's
We're
gonna be a
watching that
good fight. What do
Showtime
you mean-
final card.
What do you mean? Who cares?
Robert,
You're not watching that.
Robert, I mean, you can't sell him on DAZN right now. He's just
Can't
mad
sell
about
me
the
on DAZN.
He's mad about the price.
I'm mad about the product too.
Well, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Look, like I just said, they raised the price without a logical explanation, and then most of the cards this year have not been top notch. Like you said, they are improving. The last couple of weeks have been good, but and I think you're right, Joe. I think we here in America are subsidizing everybody else.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
All right, Robert, I'm gonna put you on hold here.
All right.
We're gonna get moving.
See you later.
Enough of that nonsense.
New York 516. You're live.
Yes, sir. This is Jesse. What's up, guys?
Jesse, what's happening?
Steve, we had a Fury Maniacs meeting. I think
I heard you tried. I heard you tried to make a move behind my back and try to get my presidency of the Fury Maniacs. Tried to have that.
Me and Teddy
tried to have
Atlas.
me taken. Tried to have me lose my position, and I'll just have you know that it failed, and I still am the president. I still am the president. We had a long meeting with the board of governors, and your efforts have failed. Your efforts have failed miserably. Your efforts have failed miserably, Mr. Perez. But carry on.
I'm gonna I'm gonna bring it down to last week because I didn't get a chance to call it, and then so I don't know. UFC fans, I'll give it to them. They got one over on Boxing World. They got a big one, but it's not. If you go by a scoring system, which I think a lot of people are missing, Ngannou won like 3 rounds. The 10th round, they each landed 1 punch each, and that round goes to the champion. Tied round goes.
No,
to the
it
champion.
doesn't go to the champion. No, it doesn't. What kind of criteria is that? So let me ask you this. So when you're in the Super Bowl, right? And there's a close call, right? So what are you going to say? We're just going to give it to the defending champion? No, you go on instant replay and you look at it, and whatever it is, it is. Look at the four criteria. Look at the 4 criteria. Wait a minute, Jesse.
The runner.
Yeah. No, Jesse. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at the 4 scoring criteria of scoring a boxing match: clean, effective punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense. Where does it say close rounds go to the champion?
I think it's just
the silence. The silence is deafening. The silence is deafening.
The B-man. I think it's just a rule that should be implemented. It's not written down, but it's just
a rule that should be implemented. Okay, that's like me going to work and saying, yeah, we should get free pizza on Friday. That's just a rule that should be implemented. How are we going to pay for it? I mean, please. Let's use some logic here. Let's stop just picking things out of the universe that we like.
All right.
And the title wasn't even on the line.
But
the WBC title wasn't even on the line.
I know.
And Ngannou's a lineal champion as well. So what about his lineal champion status? Does that give him any street cred in all of this, Jesse? Please.
Yeah, I mean, you got fair points. But I just wanted to ask you guys real quick too. 65,000 US pay-per-view buys, what the hell? What do you guys think, man? Is this?
First of all, we don't know
if that number is accurate. Is this a laughing stock also?
First of all, we don't know if that number is accurate. And second of all, what about the UK pay-per-view, in which this event was televised in prime time?
Yeah.
What about those numbers? What I would be more focused on is not the U.S. pay-per-view
The
numbers.
world numbers for me, anyway.
The world numbers. That's what I would think. That would be my response. That would be my response. And can I just say something else? If you're Fury and if you're Ngannou, and you're getting one guy's getting 50 million reportedly, and another guy's getting 10 million reportedly, at this point, the pay-per-view numbers. It would be nice to have good pay-per-view numbers and get a little bit extra, but you already got a fat check regardless, so you're not going to be crying over this.
No,
one way or the other.
Yeah.
So.
But did you see that picture today, man? I met Jerry Cooney. I asked him.
That was a very nice picture.
Who does he have, Benavidez or Andrade? Yeah, he's a real nice guy.
Yeah, he's a
and he says it's too close to call. And I've been thinking about, Andrade is a champion, Olympian. I think I'm going with Andrade on this fight.
He's really good. You know what? I don't hate that pick. That's Andrade is very good. He's very underrated. He's a solid boxer, very technical. But Benavidez is kind of a machine. We'll see what happens. That's a good fight. It's a really good fight. Solid
Jesse,
fight.
They're saying you lost your rap battle, but I think you won that rap battle. I watched it about 3 times. I gave you the win.
You talking about that one rap battle he did?
Yeah, he did a great. He did a rap battle. Who was that guy you did the rap battle against? That guy that had the Mexican, he had the Hispanic name, but he was white. What was his name? That guy what was that guy's name from Connecticut?
Rodrigo Montana. What was his name?
What was his name, Jesse? Is he still there?
No, he cut off. Cut off.
Jesus Christ. He's always cutting off.
What are you going to do?
He's got that bad happens phone
when you
connection.
Get the track phones,
Jesus.
All right. News and rumors here. This is crazy, man. This is we were talking about this beforehand, and what in the world? What I don't know.
Bananas.
Yeah, man. You think about guys like Edwin Valero, you think about guys along that whole thing that former boxer Felix Verdejo sentenced to life in prison, double life. Former Puerto Rican boxer Felix Verdejo received 2 life sentences on Friday after he was found guilty in the grisly killing of his 27-year-old pregnant lover.
That's horrible.
So killed her and the baby. He got life sentences for each, man.
Oh, that's so bad.
Federal judge sentenced Verdejo following emotional speeches by the family of Keshla Rodriguez, who was killed in April of 21. April 2021, man. Took a long time to bring him to justice, sounds like he's finally there. Federal judge sentenced, let's see here. Verdejo had been found guilty in July of kidnapping that leads to death and causing the death of an unborn child. His attorney said Friday that he plans to appeal the sentencing. Listen, man, that as an attorney, you have to do that. It's just when you're found guilty, they will automatically appeal it. If you get sentenced to death, they automatically appeal it. But at this point, it's just a formality, man.
Correct.
He will be in jail for the rest of his life. We hear about stuff like this, like I said, with Edwin Valero, with just things like this happening. You hear him every now and then. Felix Verdejo was an up and coming fighter, man. I mean, he really was. Tony Ayala, you remember Tony Ayala?
Yes.
Who had all that trouble and then tried to come back and then never really amounted to much, when he on his comeback.
I don't have words for this, man. When I hear the details of what happened, and it seemed to be that there was overwhelming evidence against him.
Yeah.
Just horrible, man. It's just a defenseless woman carrying his child. It's like I said, words can't describe. Like what can you say about this? It's one of the most heinous things that you could ever do is kill your wife and kill your child. Like you're just wiping out your whole family. Like
for what? Like if you guys don't get along, whatever. I mean, but you still have.
I don't know. I don't know what could ever put someone in a state of mind where they could even want to do something like this. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Awful. Just awful. Lil Penny says that Loma actually beat, or Felix actually beat Loma in the amateurs. I'm gonna take his word for it. It sounds plausible. So yeah. I mean, but listen, we all know Felix was gifted. You know, we knew he was gifted. We knew he had something, but
sure.
Yeah, that's tough news, man. That's tough news.
It's horrible news.
Fury versus Usyk is set for February now. No surprise here. Tyson Fury was beaten up by Francis Ngannou last week. We knew that fight wouldn't happen in December. As soon as I saw that cut on his forehead, I knew that fight wouldn't happen. And then I saw his eye after the fight. I'm like, yeah, there ain't no way this fight's happening. Actually, Clarissa says that Loma beat him. Either way, they fought in the amateurs. So there you go. Beeb, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Tyson Fury comes back from this? That was a big embarrassment that he did. And then he couldn't fight in December after the fact. He put he did train for that fight. He trained because he looked like he trained somewhat for that fight. I don't care if that was the the A-list Tyson Fury or the B-roll Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury got beat that night. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows it. And now you're going to go fight Alexander Usyk. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I thought he lost the fight. A lot of people thought it was close enough where he could have got the decision. Jesse Regan thinks he won. A lot of
a lot of people. Yeah, sure.
There's people back and forth.
You can make a case. You can make a case.
The fact that we're even having the conversation that you would need to have to make a case for him is right. Still outrageous.
Yeah,
and
outrageous.
And he's going to have to live with this. It's an embarrassment. And until he was to fight, if he were to fight Ngannou again, he would have to blow him out of there to erase this. I'll give you my honest opinion. And now he's still the favorite, believe it or not, in the odds. And I do think that, again, it's just whether or not my opinion matters or not, or even if someone thinks my opinion is valid, I do think it was an off night. But even with an off night, you should have still come prepared. There's no excuse for what happened.
Right.
277, I don't think is a good weight. When he fought Dillian White, which I think he looked very, very sharp in, right? He was 277 for the third Wilder fight where he looked a little bit off, right? And then he came back at 265 for Dillian White. He looked sharp as a tack. So there has been a pattern where you'll see Fury be off, like the Wallen fight he had a shaky moment in the Wallen fight. Right after the Wallen fight, comes back and has that second fight with Deontay Wilder, blows him out of the water. So in my honest opinion, I don't think that was the best Fury that we saw. But the counter argument to that is, well, could that be what could that be the Fury that's left at this point?
Right. I think that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, you could still. I mean, those are still legitimate questions. I believe that Fury will be better against Usyk. I think he'll be more prepared. I think he'll come in better shape. And even if he says that he did train the 12 weeks, what was his mindset going into that fight? Was there any concern that he may lose that fight? Because sometimes it's better to have a little bit of fear, the fear of losing, to kind of light a fire under you and motivate you. And you shouldn't really have to say that about the heavyweight champion of the world. But again, these guys are human beings, and we've heard Sugar Ray Leonard, when he fought Howard Davis, he kind of fought down to the levels of opposition. He got knocked down, and he was so disappointed with how he looked in that fight that he retired again for 3 more years. So what goes on in an athlete's mind, especially a athlete of this caliber, who knows? But in my opinion, I think he will come back better. I think we'll see a better version of him. And I still think he will beat Usyk, because Usyk is a different type of animal than Ngannou. Ngannou is a big, strong guy. He's a heavy puncher, and Usyk is a mid-range ambush guy. He's a guy that's going to come to you, whereas Ngannou kind of creeped up on Fury. He didn't jump right into him a little bit, and I think that surprised Fury a little bit, because he thought Ngannou would come to him and he'd be able to kind of run him into shots. And he was surprised, right? And then Fury started getting a little over anxious in spots too. But I do think a better version of Fury will show up, and I think the best version of Fury does beat the best version of Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk's shown some vulnerabilities in his career, but again, like this is still a bad look. This is a guy who turned professional, made his debut, and you thought he won. I thought he won. It was a bad performance, but there still are questions. And Fury's gonna have the opportunity to answer those questions.
I agree.
Against Usyk. Right.
All right. Virgil Ortiz versus Frederick Lawson at 154, January 6th. Ortiz hasn't fought since August of 2022. So over a year now. And he was diagnosed with that
rhabdomyolysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So listen, man, I tell you what, I hope I don't know, man. I hope they
I'm
know what they're doing over there.
Skeptical, to say the least. I don't, and again, I'm not rooting. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope everything works out. But my concern is the kidneys. Because once you get, you've had a couple bouts of that disease. You've had issues with that on multiple occasions, and it seems like it's been an ongoing problem for you. Has there been some type of damage to your kidneys that may be irreparable?
Yeah.
And then you're going to be going into a camp, putting a lot of stress on your body through exercise and training. It's one thing going out for a brisk jog,
right,
and trying to keep yourself in condition as a normal average person. But when you're going in there trying to grind it out with intense workouts day after day, a couple hours a day, maybe 2 a days, and you have compromised kidneys, will your body hold up under all that stress? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's I don't
know.
Listen, the doctors are over there. I guess they're with him and everything, but I mean, it seems like a dangerous thing to me, man.
Yeah.
You know, but then you got, like, say, the NFL, like not David Tua, Tua Tagovailoa, the one for the Miami Dolphins, who's now prone to concussions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, man, like, dude, like, that's
kidneys. Once you damage those kidneys, once you damage those kidneys, sometimes they just don't come back.
Yeah. It's not something to mess around with. I know that much,
Well, you have people. I mean, I was when I used to work in healthcare facilities, I used to see guys who had really bad substance abuse problems, alcohol and certain drugs, and they kicked the shit out of their kidneys so bad that you got guys in their mid-40s on dialysis.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's some serious shit right there,
Yeah.
So.
I agree. There it is. All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on X at jhabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. And you can find me on X at ringside73. Guys, we will see you next week. Hopefully I have my voice back then. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys, take it easy.